We good to go?
1 minute, we're just waiting for the, there we go. All right, Madam Chair, I have confirmation our YouTube live feed is now online, so you may call the meeting to order.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is 12:04 p.m. on March 31st. And we'll do a roll call. Everybody could just please state their name. This is Shannon Murphy.
This is
Any
Christopher
others?
Cruz, present.
Present.
Meg Chakenko, present.
Daphne Leon Guerrero, present.
Mary Nolte, present.
Thank you, Madam
Okay.
Chair. With 4 members
Here.
present, you have a quorum.
Yeah,
Okay,
Marilyn will be here shortly.
yeah. And Dr. Jack won't be here today. He's got a surgery or something, huh?
That's right. Madam
All
Chair,
right.
may I ask if the commission can entertain a motion to excuse members not present?
Sure.
I'll make a motion to excuse members not present.
Second that motion. And we'll have a vote. Everybody in favor of approving that is please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Nay? Okay, so we're good to go. Let's look at the minutes now from our last meeting, February 16th. There we are. I think we've all had a chance to look at these earlier, so just take a quick glance at it all one more time. It's a lot of stuff that we talked about. Right. Does anybody have any questions about the minutes? Is there any discussion? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
All right.
Thank you.
Everybody in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody disapprove? No? Okay, so the minutes are adopted, approved. And now we'll move on to the executive director's report. Jesse?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For my director's report, I just have a few updates to share. With regards to the commission's website and e-learning portal, we did have conversation with the web developer, and they're making excellent progress with regards to launching our complete website. So their team is currently working on the various static web pages, which includes things like the About page, a resources page, and public announcements. They are going to work next on developing the complaint portal as well as the e-learning portal. And then once those 2 key components are established, we anticipate a quick launch of the website. For ethics complaints and procedures, the commission announced and began accepting complaints on Tuesday, March 8th. To promote the community's awareness of this new availability, a press release was disseminated to all print, radio, and TV news stations. Coverage of the press release was found in the Guam Daily Post, and interviews were conducted with KFB7 and KUAM. From March 8th to March 30th, the Commission assisted 10 individuals. Of that number, 6 cases completed their intake process and are scheduled for discussion under new business. The next topic is on grief counseling and suicide prevention training. What we have recognized is from the start of receiving complaints, there have been several complainants who arrived frustrated, understandably, and have admitted that they carry thoughts of suicide. So to adequately prepare our staff on responding and dealing with that type of grief, we have signed everybody up to go through grief counseling as well as suicide prevention training in order to understand what are best practices in assisting those in our community. On to the next item. I apologize, Madam Chair.
I just said good initiative. I'm glad you're doing that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On to next, we do have the Guam Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, also known as the CEDS proposal. We were invited by GITA to attend a CEDS workshop to receive an update on their mid-report and learn about projects that would be eligible for federal funding. We learned through this workshop that there was a good fit for migrating our ethics training into an online platform. So we went ahead and prepared a application, and we hope that digitizing the ethics in government program will be included as a potential project for funding with the US EPA. For ethics training workshops, the Commission continues to conduct these workshops weekly with an average attendance of 50 to 60 participants each. Since the last report on February 16th, an additional 273 government officials have completed their training with the Commission, and registration for workshops scheduled in April are closed due to reaching max enrollment. And the Commission will also be conducting a single-day workshop for all employees at the Guam Community College on April 18th. For the budget update, I just have a real quick snapshot of the 4 account categories that we typically have to use. And so they are the general fund appropriation for fiscal year 2021, and the subtotal indicated at $4,120.45. For general appropriation in the fiscal year 22, we have $330.30 available. On the revenue account, we have $5,450. And for ARPA appropriations, we have a remaining $17,268.94. There will be a few procurements that our office will engage in. Notably, we are buying air purifiers and other PPEs to stock our office so that ARPA budget will reduce slightly. And these funds, as a little note at the bottom, do not reflect an additional $30,080, which was collected but not yet loaded into the revenue fund for future expenditures. And that, Madam Chair, will conclude my director's report.
Okay, I have a question about the budget, because you're saying that there's no money left in the budget for salaries, or?
Oh, no, and thank you for clarifying that. So when you're looking at these numbers, and I'll just go back to that screen here, all of the anticipated expenditures like salaries and benefits are already taken out of this equation. So these are just funds available.
Oh, okay. Okay, just want to make sure.
Right, basically, even rent and everything, you've appropriated the money out so you don't show it.
That's right.
Okay.
And then I just, Director, if I may, just to clarify, the $30,080 collected, is that just the miscellaneous collection, or is that from one specific program, like the workshops that you're conducting and being paid for example?
Yes, that's entirely from workshop registration. So the process that would normally happen is when an agency receives an invoice from this office, they will remit payment to the Treasurer of Guam. So the Treasurer of Guam has acknowledged that they've collected a total of $30,000, but they haven't yet loaded that into the commissions account, which could be used for expenses. So what we're noting here is that we do continue to track when those deposits are made. So and I think our practice right now is at the end of each quarter, the commission will make a request to deposit up to the funds that are available.
How are people doing with paying for those training, for the ethics training? Are they doing pretty well?
They are doing well. We find there are some agencies that are better than others, but overall, our office continues to assist everyone in understanding how to make payments. And once the first payment is made, they have an easier time for all subsequent workshop invoices that they receive. And we do have the team that send reminders whenever invoices go, say, 30 days past due, 60 days past due. So we have a good accounting system for that and follow up with them accordingly.
Okay, and then earlier you were talking about funds from ARPA. Was it from ARPA that could be used to make for our website development for the online classes? Is that going to come out of this amount, or if it'll be another grant?
We did an assessment of the ARPA spending program rules and determined that things like the website would not qualify for any of the authorized spending categories under the ARPA rules. So with that, Madam Chair, that's why we put in a grant request. We're hoping that there will be federal sources of funding that will be made available to pay for the e-learning portal. Otherwise, we would have to identify funds, particularly in the revenue account, to help provide for those expenses.
Do you have a ballpark figure on what's my cost to take
We
that?
do. We estimate that cost for the project, at least when we were doing our market research with the university, would be around $24,000 for the instructors to develop the learning material and $25,000 to host the e-learning site specifically. So our total would be around $49,000 up to $50,000 for both. But there are particular elements of that project that I think our office could possibly pick up, and that might eliminate and reduce that cost down. Yeah, at the very top end, you're estimating around $50,000, if not less.
So are you envisioning this to be like where the teacher is going to be, we'll just take the teacher giving up the training, and then there'll be a test? Or how are you envisioning the e-learning portal?
When it comes to the e-learning portal, we're assuming it'll be asynchronous. And so the cost that we're leveraging with the university would be identifying who those key faculty are that are going to build the test banks and the material, and those items would be used to be uploaded on the e-learning portal. And the students would just click through several videos of audio recordings and PowerPoint material, and then get a question in between.
Okay, that sounds great. Anybody else? If not, let's go back to the agenda. All right, now we're going to move to old business. We have an invitation to bid for the office space, please. Can you
Yes,
tell us about that,
Madam Chair.
Jesse?
Of course. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the commissioners. So we're at the tail end, and I do have a little bit of an update. So first to share, as you understand, we have been in this engagement with our current landlord, which is the GCIC building, and putting out a new bid. And I just want to share really quickly the GCIC lease timeline highlights to help expound on our experiences here and what eventually moved the commission toward conducting another bid. So it starts off in May 17, GSA, which originally conducted the procurement on behalf of the commission, issued a notice of intent of possible award for GCIC in the amount of $33,210. On June 16, GSA then issued purchase order P21-6A 04-177, which indicated that the commission would lease 1,400 square feet for 4 months, which is up until the end of the fiscal year, at $2,767.50 a month. On June 29, GSA buyer supervisor sent to GCIC the contract and purchase order for signature in order to execute that lease. On July 1st, GCIC, through their representative Joe Mesa, signed a lease agreement acknowledgement and was informed of the issues that were present within the space that we occupied. Particularly, their air conditioners were not serviced. The floor space that we're currently occupying was vacant for several years. Then we also brought to light that the phone and internet connection that was included with the lease was not installed or provided, among other things, to include IT rack. And then I think the largest concern was the award was for 1,400 square feet, despite the commission space being only 1,000 square feet. So in essence, the commission was overpaying based on what the contract agreements stipulated. On July 12th, there were no responses received from GCIC about the issues brought up, and then GCIC had presented me with an amended lease agreement, which inevitably just stated that they would reduce our square footage to the actual space we were occupying, which is 1,075, and didn't include some concessions, some counter proposals that was presented to them, particularly that we would absorb a storage room of 100 square feet. On July 16th, I met with Joe and Sheila, who are officials of GCIC, to talk about this pending work to meet the bid specifications. And they brought up asking to sign an addendum regarding the reduction of the square footage from 1,400 to 1,075. I instead, again, brought back this counter, which was to reduce it instead of to 1,075 square feet to 1,175, which meant that we would occupy a storage room. On August 9, there was no solution found between GCIC and the office. And so Joe and Sheila, again, GCIC officials, discussed that with Stefan, who was the property president. And the proposal was that they would renovate the storage room and then sign an addendum to pay for an additional square footage. I found, other than the next sentence, this was a proposal from GCIC, which was they would give us additional space plus renovate the space in order for us to agree to reducing the square footage. We didn't agree with that. The other part was other elements of issues with this lease. Particularly, we had found that their personnel were coming into our offices and leaving it unsecured. And the only reason we were able to identify was because they left their tools in our workspaces, and we brought it to the attention of the landlord. On August 10th, the next day, we had met with Stefan, the property president, to discuss all these issues regarding the lease. And then we even gave a timeline of every exchange that was provided between the commission and the staff, and the lack of responses that were received. Of course, the property president had apologized and obtained a copy of all these pending items. And then we found that he announced he would be departing off island, but would see to it personally that all the items that we had raised with him would be addressed. On August 17, GSA buyer had sent an email to follow up on signed contract and purchase order. So if you reflect, I think this was sent to them since June 29, but this date now is September 17th. So prior to the end of the fiscal year, GCIC still never signed the lease agreement and never acknowledged the purchase order. So essentially our office was operating without an agreement on a month-to-month basis. On September 28th, my apologies, we followed up numerous times on getting a signed addendum and getting the signed lease agreement and the purchase order. On September 30, the original purchase order issued by GSA had expired due to the end of the fiscal year. Of course, we liquidated that purchase order in order to make payment for the months that had already been encumbered. On October 6th, we had issued our own purchase order under the commission's newfound authority to procure on its own, and that is P22 4600-002. On October 28th, we received our first invoice under fiscal year 22 from GCIC, and I provided a response to that email, reminding them that to date, the commission had yet to receive a signed lease agreement and purchase order acknowledgements for both what was issued by GSA as well as the commission's own purchase order. And we reminded them that we would need to receive those items prior to processing payment. Of course, that email was never responded to. It was sent and never acknowledged. In December 2nd, they sent another invoice, and we sent a similar email again stating that to date we've not received any lease agreement, any purchase order acknowledgement, and any other communication from the landlord. This was around the time that we brought this situation to the commission, and the commission made the decision to go ahead and open a new bid process in order for us to find and have a clean, properly awarded lease agreement. In February 28th, I sent out a letter to GCIC management informing them that the Ethics Commission would be vacating the premises effective on March 31st, 2022, and that we offered to pay for the entire occupancy from October to March 2022. So by this time, we already knew that this was a month-to-month contract. So to give proper advance notice to the current landlord, we gave them more than 30 days advance notice of our intent to vacate the premises. That was responded on March 9, 2022, rejecting the payment offer and stating that there is no valid lease and no valid bid award. They essentially reflected that our response that they've ignored or lacked follow-up was unsubstantiated despite all the logs that were presented to both GCIC and the commission. On March 14th, I responded to that letter stating that the office does not agree with GCIC's email and that we in fact did send over a bid cancellation letter to effectively end this lease agreement on March 31st, 2022. On March 15th, GCIC, through their property president, responded accepting the payment terms, but then demanded that the cancellation come not from the commission, but from GSA, which was rather odd because the commission is its own procuring authority. So it was not kosher, I think, for us to go and seek another entity's permission to cancel our own purchase order. So on that same day, we provided a response informing GCIC that in fact the commission has authority to procure on their own. So with that, Madam Chair, I have two questions that I'm hoping we can get the board action on. The first is to have the commission reaffirm the letter issued by me on February 28, 2022, that the commission is sticking to the termination of the lease effective on March 31st, 2022.
You want us to vote on that? Or can
Yeah.
just affirm it? Yeah.
Yeah, to affirm my letter sent to them on February 28th, that the commission is effectively terminating their lease. And that was already transmitted to them on February 28th.
So why do you need us to affirm that? Just asking.
Noted, Madam Chair. So my decision is as the executive director, so I handle the operations. Typically when there are questions of the authority of the director, it's brought to the commission, and the commission ultimately has and maintains that power. So it was a suggestion that the commission, upon reviewing this information, could then elevate that this is a commission decision, commission level decision, rather than at the director's level.
So how should we say this? Help me out here.
Sure, Madam Chair. It is just a motion to reaffirm the director's letter sent on February 28, 2022 to GCIC.
Would anybody
So
like to
moved.
make that motion? So moved, okay. Seconded.
I can second.
Okay. Hi, Marilyn. Okay, and everybody in favor, say aye. Aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do
Anybody
we also, for
opposed?
the record, Marilyn, board member Marilyn Borjas now present?
Yes, thank you. Okay, that passes. Go ahead, Jesse.
Thank you. And then the second one, on a lighter note, Madam Chair, is that the commission has completed its review of the IFB 22001. And we did affirm that the intended awardee does comply with all the bid specifications. So at this time, I'd like to announce who that potential awardee is, and that is, you just give me a. Yes. Thank you, Ruben. The vendor's name is Prospector Retail Concepts LLC. They may be a subsidiary of another company, but that is the business name that has been identified. So at this time, I am asking the commission approval to award a purchase order to Prospector Retail Concepts LLC. And prior to that, Madam Chair, prior to the motion, I did want the commissioners to state if there was any conflict of interest at this time on that motion.
Yes, I believe I have to recuse myself on this one since I do work for that company.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. So the record will reflect that Commissioner Daphne Leon Guerrero has stated her conflict. It would be appropriate, Madam Chair, if we got the commission to excuse her from discussing and voting on any motion regarding this award.
Great. And just for the record, this property is located at the Bank of Hawaii in Agana, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So,
does anybody want to make
a
a
motion to
motion?
Commissioner Leon Guerrero from discussing and voting on this matter.
Anybody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Seconded? Nobody?
I can
Marilyn?
second.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll all be in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Nope. Okay, that motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And then the next motion is to approve awarding a purchase order to Prospector Retail Concepts LLC for the commission's new lease.
Which begins tomorrow.
April 1st, 2022.
All right. Anybody want to make that motion?
Motion to approve.
I second.
Everybody say aye if you approve. Yep.
Yay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody
Are we
opposed?
Are you guys all ready to walk on in tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Believe
I
we
see
will.
Shannon shake. I see Shannon Half-Agreed shaking her head. So you guys must be busy.
No.
Okay, cool.
They did it already. They pretty much moved. All right. Everybody want to vote for that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? No. All right. That motion carries. And that's it for the old business then. Yeah, Jesse?
That's correct.
And there's, okay, and there's no new business, and we're going to move on to the confidential matters, which requires us to have a private meeting, right?
That's correct. I'm going to stop sharing at this time, Madam Chair. And
Okay.
to preempt the commissioners, we are going to open up a break room, which will be just for the commissioners to have their discussion on the cases. You will see a screen share that reflects that the commission is now entering confidential matters, and we'll be discussing these items in private. And so just give us a minute. The live stream will stay on, but it will just be on the screen share, it will not be in the discussion room. Just the commissioners and myself will be in the discussion room along with the staff to talk about those.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Jesse Rodak. Okay.
Can't hear you, Jess.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We've concluded item 6 on the agenda, confidential matters. With regards to announcement, there is just one. I know the commission is anticipating to meet sometime soon. Originally, it was intended to be Thursday next week, but the chairperson informed of her unavailability and will need all members present. So I will be messaging the commission again with alternative dates to try to reschedule that meeting and put the announcement out in time to comply with open government law. And that's the only announcement, Madam Chair, that I have. And welcome the commission if they have any others.
That's it. All right, so we can go ahead and adjourn. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded. I'll
I can second.
Okay. And all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, and all right, so the meeting is now adjourned. It's 2:05,
Time
I
is
think.
7 p.m.
2:07. Okay. Thank you guys.
Okay,
Everyone.
thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.